Now an entity is trying to come into an ecosystem to cause me to have no regard for whatever woman I found a guy with in the interest of you're my heart, and then ignore a good guy that is able to take care of me, able to love me, already promising me marriage as a teenager. But he was just kind of boring, and I mean, yeah, he was not a bad guy. And he was such a good guy. I'm not that woman anymore. I don't pass up good guys. I've been waiting for a good guy, but I allowed myself to amass that kind of generational curse or that kind of demonic pursuit because I already caved to it as a child. And so today it's following me. But you see, now I'm actively waiting for the better man that's going to pursue me. But because the devil is cunning like that, he's not coming. The better man is not around. Only the bad ones that want to just throw women away. Only the bad ones that just want to throw women. My man, the other guy, I kept bumping into him somewhere along the way in the future. Like one time I saw him at the Debonesco Kind City, and then Gavit's freshman year, bumped into him at that bash, and he was there, and he was still trying to be with me. He was still trying to be with me, and he was there with my ex. We had broken up by then, and I remember just being like, dude, your boy broke my virginity. Are you gonna tell me you don't know? Or you know, you just don't mind? You can't love a woman that much, except there are men who are like that. Like, there's nothing a woman can do wrong that will ever make him be, like, entirely write you off. It's exactly the love story of Hosea and Gomer. Like, this guy, go freshman Besha, Witzfestje, the other one, Ukarelo, he was there with Spiwe. So not only did he forgive Spiwe, I'm pretty sure he found out that we were together. There's no way that it would have gone over his head. So he forgave his friend. He was there with Spiwe and a whole bunch of other guys. I go to this bash, we all hug. Hello, first year. Right, my first year, they'd already been out of university for, they were older. So they were basically just coming there because the party, yeah, young people. Yeah, and this guy at that freshman's bash, I see my ex there. And now he was with his girlfriend. With another girl, with another girlfriend. And I still had feelings for him, but I walked away. And I dumped because he was a bad guy. Like, bad guys just never treat women right. Like, they just never treat women right. He's the one that I told you the story that one time I told him on the phone that I loved him. And then he told me, don't say it so much, you might wear it out. Because he took my virginity, he thought he could speak smack like that. I moved out. I didn't clearly Trina did not belong to my mom. It was my uncle's, and my mom frankly didn't want to live there. So we finally moved out of Natch. And when I moved out, I didn't tell him. Why? Because I saw that because I loved him enough to betray the friend and be that taboo, and also to give him my virginity, he saw that and he started to basically take me for granted. And so one time I told him I love him on the phone, and he told me don't wear it out, and he would just act a fool. He used to do strange things that made me realize that this guy knows that I love him and I love him a lot. And so he was just acting a fool. And even though he loved me really, like, a lot, when I answered that, like, I remember I said that guys, they hunt, and once they have landed, once they have hunted and gathered, they feel like they don't have to work so hard anymore. So he was no longer pulling all of his weight, and he expected that I was gonna stick around. Remember I said I called them arsonists. Hey, they will show you flames. They will work really hard to land you, but once you're in the room, they'll burn everything down. They will treat you like you ain't Jack. They will make out of you that beautiful woman in that Sam Smith music video. You and me, we made a vow. Yeah, you a really great lady, but like he will treat you like, listen, I've seen more. I've seen better. As soon as you're in his house, he be out there cheating on you with crazy ladies that don't compare, blah, blah, blah. Like you're the baddest thing he ever landed. And yet he will treat you like we Lanje and it's okay. So because I noticed this thing and I'm good at goodbye, I didn't dump him. We never officially broke up. So he might still lay claim to me today. We never officially broke up. I moved out of my mother. My mother moved out. We moved out of that house. And I didn't tell him. And one day he came to see me because I would not, not that I didn't answer the phone. The landline was disconnected because we were no longer living there. And I think I had lost my cell phone, so he couldn't get me on my device. And he then made a decision, seeing as he hadn't seen me in a while and he was still very much in love, to travel all the way from Leondale to Naturina. I'm sad about that because I was still so in love with him. And they were like, no, can you imagine the heartbreak? Yeah, but I did that to him because you don't get to say to me that I must not tell you I love you. I'm gonna wear it out. You were treating me like trash, dog. You were not, you took my virginity and then you acted like you own me. So I made a decision to sing You Don't Own Me. And I moved out, even though I was still very much in love with him. I don't know what the heck I was doing. because I was still in love. Mara ne ke batla ho prove a point. And so that's how that relationship ended. And still to this day, he felt like but he started it. Okay, he started it. That's how that whole relationship ended. So I then bump into him at Wits Freshman's Bash, and he's there with Cabello. And we all hug because we knew each other. And then Cabello at that bash takes me to the side and he's like, can we talk? Yo, I'm out here. Don't be like, can we talk for a minute, girl? I wanna know your name. Yeah, this guy was so in love with me, and I remember just being like, I can't be with you, Cabello. It's not that kind of party. Okay, he was like, okay, Sha, be all this guy, shame. And then a couple of maybe like years down the line, I'm go kind city. I don't know what I was doing there. Either I was at Wits University or I was working my first job. Not first job, but I was in the learnership program called Liberty Life. After having to drop out of Wits, I then bumped into him, go Debonair's, go kind city in downtown Joburg. And again, hi, how are you, Cabello? And at that stage, he's like, can I get your number? Can we talk? And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy. Dude, I am the taboo of a lifetime. I gave my body, even though you came first, to your friend. And I dated him. I dumped you on your birthday. You are still pursuing me? You forgave your friend and you still want me? He never stopped. Every time he bumped into me, he would try to get back together. And I was like, yeah. Now that I look back, that was the Lord showing me the era of women. You thoroughly adore these horrible guys at the expense of really great ones. But great guys, they do finish lost indeed. But great men are like Hosea. They will fetch a harlot from her lovers and still try to love her time and time again. But this Gomer will just keep rejecting him. She will just keep hurting him. It was a picture of the harlotry of, I guess, South African women, and why it is that now today you have found yourself with the clutch of men into gender-based violence. That's why that's why when you move out of those relationships, leave, they ride over your body's name model. That's why they're killing you women, because you insist on being with not only forbidden men that have evidenced already at the time of you starting to date them that they were not supposed to be dated, and it is often at the expense of much better guys. Listen, all the much better dudes that came into my space that wanted to be with me, I either rejected them or I treated them like some kind of whatever. Ingati what? Listen, guys that would have made out of me not only an honest woman within a year of dating, but really guys that would have really loved me. I know like I can do better, like I'm cool. Hey guys, it's like I was drawn to amatota that would ultimately listen the living daylights out of me. Guys that would manipulate me with witchcraft. Guys that would also, when I leave, say, sorry, you are mine. You are mine. That guy, yeah, na ole, wa go break my virginity. When I was in Copa, South Africa, ke ha ke lora. Hangata nje fela answer busy trying to grope at my skirt, trying to holler at me from underneath a table. Go desk, go officing in a boardroom. While his wife was there, and I'd be like, no, stop doing that. People are gonna think I'm having an affair with you. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I'm what fish face, etc. Mara, the guy that was trying to holler at me time and time and time and time again, after finding out that I left him for his boy, and this those stats I just read to you, because you're not exciting. It's like, that scene in the movie Temptation where Judith says to her husband, I want a phenomenal guy. I switched off this fan finally, it's not so hot anymore. You're not a phenomenal guy, I want a phenomenal guy, and you're not phenomenal. Yeah, when a guy is just good old fashioned regular and just wants to love you, and you tell him, but you're not exciting, like how kazi. You're not popping like oil on a frying pan. You're not popping like popcorn. You're not eccentric. You're not colorful. I want more. I'm not saying be with a bland guy or borang, but I'm saying there is a spirit inside women before they come to Christ that is evidently exploited by the devil, that causes them to be drawn to men that will just harass them, men that will end them, men that will kill them because they're leaving, or men that will hold them hostage because they left. Men that will make sure that they turn 41 single. Men that will. Do you understand what I'm saying? Unale an epidemic inside women, and I would go so far as to say within the black community, of being with men that love to make baby mamas out of women. Never mind baby mamas, but if at all they go and they get their own wives, they will hold hostage exes. We date guys vasanyang. And when you look at your track record, when you look at your rap sheet as a young girl on the come up, you will notice guys that came. You will literally notice guys that came but you were like, nah. And then when you look at these guys that you were like, yeah, it's not like they were not cute. It's not like the guy that I just told you about, the Cabello. He was tall, dark, and handsome, like typical, okay? Mara, for some reason, like, I couldn't. There was also another one, a little bit later on, that was hollering at me. Go party scene, go Rockville. Again, most appropriate for me. I'm a tall woman. He was tall, he wasn't dark, and handsome. And then he was just a decent guy in comparison to the cool. Now I'm hot again. It's a summer night, okay? He was a decent guy in comparison to all of them that were sleeping around all over the show, and onang patla high and low. And I was like, what does he do? He's not popular. He's not popular amidst all of them, but he would have treated me so well. He would have quickly taken out Ilomola. He would have quickly papa. All the guys that would have treated me really well. I was like, Was it because I wasn't attracted to them, or neither were they attractive? No. It was because my spirit being cursed generationally and my spirit being in the world lost was drawn to that which could only destroy me. It was demonic. It was the devil. My spirit was drawn to guys that would only ever lead me down the rabbit hole that my mom came down, the rabbit hole that my grandmother came down. It was spiritual. So if I had gotten born again as a child earlier and avoided therefore the sins of my parents, I would have found myself being attracted to much better guys, much better guys. And today I might have been married. Remember, I told you guys about how it is that whatever decisions it is that you're making in your conscience, even as a child, you are without excuse when you make them based on your childhood, precisely because your conscience was speaking volumes even as a kid. We have a king in the Bible that was honored as a king. He was raised up to be a king from just the age of 8. His name was King Josiah. He was a king from the age of 8, and his dad was dastardly. His grandfather, dastardly. His dad only reigned for 2 years. His grandfather for, I believe, 50 something. His grandfather, it is believed, is the one that assassinated, martyred Isaiah the prophet. Towards the end of his life, however, he did repent, whereas his son didn't. And then here it is that we have Josiah. King Josiah. Here it is that we have got King Josiah, who is ordained the king of Israel from the age of 8. And even though this young boy had no example to run with, listen, no example to run with, he nonetheless became one of the baddest kings in all of Israel, bringing down high places. He died only at the age of 39 because of a follied decision. But in that small lifespan, he reigned many years. For he started reigning from the age of 8. And when he became a teenager, he started to deeply inquire of the Lord. He was apprehensive about idol worship from the time he was 8. He knew that something was not sitting right with him. In other words, his conscience was speaking volumes. He knew what was right, but he was yet to find entire instruction. He was yet to find the true teacher. It is believed that he was trained up or raised up by advisors around him that were godly, that basically risked their lives to give him better counsel and to teach him about his forefather David, to teach him about men who are after God's own heart. And by the time he was a teenager, he was seeking after the Lord. And when then he was in his 20s, he out here ransacked high places, demolished, debilitated idol worship in Israel and in Judah and in Israel. He was an excellent king, but from the time he was 8 years old with no prior understanding, King Josiah just knew that all the pagan worship, all the idol worship of Israel, something was wrong with it. And he ran with his conscience. You are without excuse. King Josiah was just 8 when he took the position of king in Israel. When I first made my cousin a god, I was just 13. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't make like Josiah. I ran with it. And now I am pursued by ramifications still to this day. If I had listened to my conscience, and if I had gotten born again earlier in life, I may very potentially have not only preserved my virginity, but I would be married to one of those boring guys that would not at all be boring to me, because they were only boring because they were just such good guys. When you are antagonized, when you are at odds with wholesomeness in your growth, listen, you are not only demon possessed, potentially, but you are severely pursued by generational curses, likely, that you need to do everything in your uncomfortable power to overcome. If you cannot, as women, love good men, if you struggle to have feelings for good guys, if you struggle to have feelings for good guys as a woman, you have a spiritual cancer. If you struggle to have feelings for good guys, there is something in you. There is a cancer. Women, we are made to be cherished. We are made to be loved. And being cherished means pursuit. Christ, we love him because he loved us first. If a man pursues you with every bone in his body and every spunk in his cheek, and even after you hurt him and reject him time and time again, since even after you hurt him over and over and over again, he's willing to love you the way that Christ loved the church. And you are turned off by that. You are turned off by his persistent pursuit of you. If all the guys that could have really loved you, you passed them up and then watch them go into the sunset and marry women and be faithful and stay really great to them well into the future, there is something wrong. Mamela, there is something wrong inside you. I'm not saying date every guy that you consider boring. But I am saying, if you have an issue within yourself where you find good guys boring, and by good I mean faithful, full of pursuit, willing to do everything for you, bending over backwards, and very shortly after meeting you already be willing to have conversations with fathers and uncles and everything. If men like these, guys that are even just physically, like you're tall and he's tall, or you look like, and I feel like the two of y'all look like a match made in heaven. If at all, men like these, you are put off by them. Men that can actually love you the way that Christ loved the church. You need deliverance. You need deliverance. There is something from there is a spiritual cancer in your bones, and it is metastasizing at record speeds. I was drawn to all the crazies, all the men that I have ever really loved, like with strong feelings. Woo, guys. There's only three guys that I've had strong feeling like that I've ever loved. And all of them holding hostage, all of them. And then in terms of the guys that I just found to be good people's good company that I could indeed just mess with in Lebona, they were so bad. They were such crazy guys. Like I was drawn to and it did not make sense because women need to be cherished, they need to be loved, they need stability, they need faithfulness, they need love. And where there was love, I was hollow of interest. Hollow. Mengena my feelings at all. Mengena my feelings, and the sad and disquieting thing is that where it is that I did have feelings, I fell head over heels and hard. And these guys were nonsense. Guys. And I only woke up to that reality when I came to Christ and I took it to God. And you see, this pursuit of my person all the way into my 40s is precisely because I made war. I got on my knees and sought the Lord's face to cure me from this thing. And now this is how entities operate when they're out here coursing through the generational lineage of a person. They will sing you Pina Elea Puff Daddy from back in the day when you were still just Puff Daddy, not P. Diddy. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. They try to proliferate your grandmother's legacy. They try to proliferate your great-grandmother's legacy, your mother's legacy. They will force you to marry your dad. And my dad was a wretched guy. Like he sucked, but listen, my mom fell head over heels in love with a guy that absolutely sucked. He could not love her. My grandfather also to my grandmother. But she stayed married to him. Because that's the nature of being from those days. When it's nonsense. A guy, so you stay with a guy. On the next way, myself, okay, now there is a provider, so a guy. Therefore, it was death to us part with them. But because my mom was an independent by the time she married my dad, not by the time she married my dad, but in the marriage, she became independent. It was unsustainable. Their marriage was unsustainable. It was tumultuous when women start to demand more. However, having more and more abilities to take care of themselves, it's easy for them to just like file for divorce. My grandmother couldn't go out like that. Otherwise, she would have been out on a limb. So she took a lot of nonsense in her stride. I am being pursued by that which caught Kadijeresi and held hostage, therefore, my grandmother and my mother and likely great-grandmother, etc. Going far back. But right now I'm speaking to the generations that I got to know. Gay curse. And so because curses don't want to be leaving. Listen, unless you make war and you fight with a fever, you will not gonna get out of it. Even as a Christian, you will out here be marrying your dad. And now that you are filled with the Holy Spirit, mamela, there will be more war in your household than there ever was in your mother's household. More war in your household than there ever was in your grandmother's household, because now it's the kingdom of darkness and light. That are exactly like my grandfather and my dad. And I recognize that all my exes were my dad. All of them. They were men that were gonna show me flames. My mom once told us, my sister and I, that my dad, she was so confused that she went and asked her friends that because before they got married, he was such a good guy. He was so sweet. He was so doting and so loving. He did everything for her. But as soon as they got married, flames, like I said, arsonist. The Lord uses Bina Ele every so often. Yep, Destiny's Child, bills to help me understand how these relationships are. At first we started our cool, and then taking me places I ain't never been, and then There's always and then you first start out real cool, and then it just goes awry. And women can relate. Mamela, it is in your lineage. And if you don't not only repent and absolve yourself from these things, but recognize as well in yourself the proclivity towards certain kinds of men that inevitably just keep dropping balls on you, type establishment thing. Absent of you going to war with it and noticing it for what it is and then going to war with it. Into my 40s, Mamela, as soon as I got born again, I recognized it as a folly and I gave it to God. And so renounced it. I renounced it, but it has not renounced me. I renounced it, but it has not renounced me. I know what it is now, enough to avoid it, mark it and avoid it, but it is still in pursuit of me. So just because you see the error of your ways is not enough for you. The ways that insist upon you being maintained in a grain, it does not necessitate those ways leaving you alone. You gotta go to war. Now I abhor and despise the prospect of marrying a man like my dad or even dating guys like my exes. Angibafuni mina personally. Kodwa bona bayangifuna. So the beauty of coming to Christ is that you are no longer stumbled by feelings that are not of you. You are no longer stumbled by the fact that you have feelings for guys that can't love you. Now you are being forced to trip up under things that are in pursuit of you, even though even though you walked away, they will insist upon you. So essentially it starts to become like a cancerous little arranged marriage. A cancerous little arranged marriage where it is that you don't want to be here, but it wants you. So the beauty then is in the fact that at least you now know that you don't want it. Whereas in the past, you gladly glided in crazy relationships, thinking that you're in love. This time, however, the difference when you're in Christ is that you know this is nonsense, you don't want it, but it wants you. But also the disquiet of you being in Christ, the war that you fight, is the fact that that which you rejected historically is now nowhere to be found. Now that you are sober, now that you are pursuable by the kind of men that will love you the way that Christ loved the church. Because entities will do everything in their power to block him from coming into your life. So where before you come into the Lord Jesus Christ, you were encircled by all these guys pursuing you that could have really loved you, that you were however like, no thank you. Now habasaleo, get desert. Because the devil knows now that you are no longer stumbled by dating your generational curse. He now knows that the moment the right dude rocks up now, you are not going to walk away from him. So essentially you just don't meet him. You don't meet him unless you fight for what belongs to you. The kingdom of heaven suffers violence and the violent take it by force. I've been waiting on the Lord for a husband for 14 years since I came to Christ. And the level of demonic harassment, abuse, and insistence on blocking this thing on the part of men that are like my dad, that not only passed me up, but we dated and I moved on. Yes, like it, bruh. They work like dinja to make sure he doesn't come into my life. So basically, what I'm getting at is that the guy that I dated that broke my virginity, men like him are working real hard to block me from meeting Gabelo. Listen, I still don't have feelings for Gabelo, unfortunately, right? But he's the kind of guy that if I had met him as a Christian girl, I would highly unlikely, given that it's a spiritual curse, I would highly unlikely have felt nothing for him the way that I felt nothing for him back then. A guy like that, I would have quickly fallen in love. Mara, the curse that is pursuing you, enough to make him out of sight and out of mind. To see that finally you've been cured. You've been cured from accommodating like crazy dudes that don't make no kind of sense. Listen, you are not compatible. Nothing of yours nothing. Like at all. Like I kid you not, Gabelo was more up my alley than that other guy was. In terms of our personalities together, our life missions, what our focus, kept in a bunch, we were so similar that it made no sense that I liked the other guy that was all about these streets more. It made no sense. You find that out eventually as a Christian, but the war now starts being fight until the Lord brings your husband along. Hold on, hold fast, or you will end up inevitably marrying the guys you kept dating mistakenly as a child on the come up because you wouldn't stop either fornicating or allowing yourself to just capitulate to peer pressure. The level of entitlement, therefore, of guys like my ex-boyfriend. A man that'll have a crush on a woman and insist on trying to see if he can and insist on letting her know. I mean, that guy was acting dead, hey? He had a crush on me and insisted on letting me know. He told my cousin, I like your cousin Teller, so as to basically see if he can pique my interest. If he was any kind of good guy, he would have been attracted to me upon seeing me that day and kept quiet, given that his boy wanted me, and secondly, given that he was actually making out with Patricia. Instead, he was like, let me see how far this will get. Tell your cousin I like her. And as soon as she told me, I was like, he knew what that would do. Because he knew that there was some sparks flying between the two of us, and he was super sweet, super kind, and they like that. He knew. So essentially, he parades himself in front of you and knows that you're going to go in for the kill. He knows that you are going to be like, okay, listen, you go in for the kill. And the killing I will allow you to go in for, type of establishment thing. If he was any kind of truly decent guy, he would have just kept his crush to himself. But he wasn't decent now, was he? A man that is willing to not only sow discord between friends, but also completely ignore your own reputational damage, and also completely ignore the more fair playing ground that has been created for another man to come into your space. Essentially, let single men pursue single women. Let unmarried men pursue brides. Do not close entry. Do not create barriers around a woman you have a crush on as a freaking married man, and then actively make sure that single men can't find her, because anything else that is done apart from that is evil. It's wickedness. Anything else is wickedness. Leave single men to pursue single women. That is the right thing to do. But if as a married man or a taken man, a man with a fiance, you then in your rapacity are like, but I like her, and you insist on letting her know, you're actively trying to stumble her. You're actively trying to cause her to sin. And the Bible says that while offenses will come, woe to the man through whom those offenses come. You are causing a stumbling block in the feet. You are putting it there in the feet of a woman. When you, as a man that is taken, insist on complimenting the living daylights out of a single woman in the room, my goodness, you've grown. Yo, you look good now. In front of your girlfriend, you're basically creating a louver. Should you one day catch her all by herself, to just slip a fast one in. And look at out here now. A man is out here messing with cousins. Shield yourself, protect yourself from crazy people. And crazy people, because they know they're crazy and they don't deserve the best of things, play dirty. They play dirty. Better men don't use witchcraft. Better men accept no for an answer. They try again tomorrow, and if it doesn't work, move on. Better men basically accept rejection. So, I mean, it's not an equal playing ground when a man accepts rejection and does not use ikorobela, while somebody is out using spiritual weapons, is burdening you with lust, is winking at you knowing that you find him attractive, and is actively trying to make sure that you don't even look at the better men. It's evilness. It's entire and comprehensive wickedness. So here it is, that generational curse, or that curse that I brought on myself, did that when I was just 16, and it would be downhill from there, just tanking. I would then go on to meet a litany of other crazy influences thanks to my cousin. That guy, we broke up. Eventually, I told you how we broke up. I moved out. I didn't tell him because, you were not able to properly love me, yet you pursued me. And when you were finally with me, you passed me shade. You comprehensively passed me shade. After, you would say things that broke my heart as your girlfriend. I love you. Yeah, don't say so much. You might just wear it out. Did you just say that? Yeah, you did. So, I mean, you literally deserve me moving out with my mother and not telling you. And then you go and you say that I'm the one who broke your heart. You are a nonsense. That's what in the world under heaven that is. But women, recognize these things for what they are. And this nonsense came into my life because of a facilitation by a woman that wanted, I guess, everybody in these streets to be just fornicating all over the show and being with limited discretion in relationships. Limited discretion in relationships, but hey, we're running with it anyway, cause we're Forrest or whatever, right? Run, Forrest, run. Okay, whatever. So, the Leondale thing comes and the Leondale thing goes. The relationship ends between me and Spiwe, my first love and first time ever guy, right? I told you guys that my virginity was broken at the age of 17. And again, why did I have sex with Spiwe? It's not because I wanted to. I didn't feel ready. I said that I was going to. I said to myself that I was not going to date until I was 16. I kept to my guns with that. But you see, once you're inside a little bit of a cesspool, you can't help but swim in it. I said that I don't want to have sex until... I said that I didn't want to have a boyfriend until I was 16. And I said that I did not want to break my virginity until I was out of matric. 18. I don't know what made me think that I could be in a 2-year-long relationship with a hormonal guy and him not pressurize me into sex. I should have just said that if I did not want to have sex until I was 18, that I shouldn't date until I was 18. When you're in the world, your standards are not so much marriage, but just 18 or 21. I wanted to keep that as a thing. But my cousin was fornicating. The whole entire ecosystem encircling me was fornicating. She finally confessed that she was having sex. when I met Spiwe and Abogabelo and them. And so when my cousin told me that she was busy doing it, when I started dating, as soon as I started dating Ulontuza, Uspiwe, I told him, of course, like, I'm a virgin, I've never had sex. I told him I've never done it, and he was like, yeah, I understand, but when are we gonna do it? I know you've never done it, but when are we gonna do it? I know you've never done it, but when are you gonna do it? When are we gonna do it? He basically was like, I'll wait, but until when? And because of the fact that I knew that I didn't know when I have sex until I was 18, given that I was with this guy at 16, I was like, wait until my 17th birthday. I literally told him, wait until my 7th. I said that I can shave off 1 year. I wasn't ready. And the only reason why I was willing to concede in this fashion, even though I did not feel comfortable with it, was because my cousin conveniently told me that I broke my virginity. She said that she broke her virginity with Jabu. Remember the Jabu that stayed in Spraigtview? She said that he's the one that took her virginity. That was a lie. I would later come to know that that was a lie because of conversations that we would have in the future. You can't maintain a lie. Plus, at the age of 14, 15, she was dating a guy with a car that was like out of high school and everything, that used to drive her around all over this Johannesburg. So no, she was not a virgin with that guy. She did not, like, she stayed with that guy for over a year. She wasn't a virgin. She wasn't. But she saw it fit to tell me that she wasn't one anymore, and that she was sleeping with Jabu in particular. And that Jabu was the one who took her virginity in order to, I guess, nicely, gently coddle me and influence me into perhaps giving Spiwe my body. And I did. Peer pressure is like a whole thing. I thought about the fact that, okay, so my cousin has done it. I knew that Patricia was doing it, but I don't know when. But we didn't even see Patricia again after those holidays, right? None of my girls in school, as at that stage, were willing to confess that any of them were doing it. Although one of them I suspected were busy, right? Like I said, I told myself that I'm gonna give this guy my body, but I'm gonna lie to everyone in my life. I'm not gonna tell my friends at school. I'm just gonna let them know that I have a boyfriend, but they're not gonna know that I'm having sex. I mean, I was secretive. I was not ready, and yet I did it out of nothing but peer pressure. I gave my body to Spiwe. Get ready. That's why I say that hanging out with that cousin of mine and accommodating her insanity as an idol changed my life forever, because from the time that I started having sex, everything went downhill for me. Everything. Academically, it was a soul tie. Do you understand? I became too in love with my boyfriend to truly focus on anything else. And after Tinye and I broke up, who is this? My point exactly. After Spiwe and I broke up, like I said, we didn't even break up. Merely just I moved out and I didn't tell him. So it wasn't official. Right after that departure from each other, like walking away from one another. After that whole thing happened, Shem, I met the worst guy. Listen, still to this day, nobody compares. The worst guy that I've ever dated. And how did I meet him? You see, I had to first have sex before my cousin would open the can of worms that was the world that she was living in as a child in high school. When I was a virgin, she could not take me anywhere. When I was a virgin, she could not open that world to me fully because it was too dark and I was too innocent. But as soon as I had sex, listen, it was over. As soon as I had sex, she was happy to invite me everywhere. So now her dark world that she was living in clandestinely by herself with other people that she met, she introduced me to it, which then brings me to this woman at YouTube. God compares her to one of the chicks that my cousin was hanging out with. Remember, I told you guys that I was in grade 10 when I met the guy who broke my virginity. However, I broke my virginity when I was in grade 11. We dated for a while, me and this guy, and then we broke up. And grade 11, grade 11 is literally the worst year in high school for anybody to be dropping the ball in. It is the grade 11 results are the ones with which you apply to go to university. Mamela, you can't afford to mess with grade 11. In grade 10, I was still doing well in school, but I was already starting to drop the ball because Jola. Grade 11 started having sex. Yazen, ka ignora trig, ka ignora geometry, ka ignora algebra, ka ignora chemistry, ka ignora biology, ka ignora physics. Listen, I ignored accounting. I ignored school. I did just enough. I was scraping by. I was no longer focused. I went from being on the honors roll every single term to what's going on? It is a miracle that I got admitted into this university at all. I literally get escaped by the skin of my teeth. I dropped the ball in an observable capacity to a point where teachers that were looking to me to be something important in the school. One day, I can say she's tanking. Never got invited to leadership camp. Never got to nothing. I lost out, and me losing out like that was largely caused by the next guy that I dated after the guy who took my virginity. Oh yeah, I didn't make him wait months upon months. I slept with him pretty much the first night that he like harassed me. I caved, and it was only by the grace of God. Nah, not the grace of God. What in the world? God had nothing to do with that. But frankly, it helped that he liked me enough to stick around, even though he was the kind of guy to just first stop drive-by shooting, hit it and quit it. But you see, in comparison to my cousin, I was so sweet and I was so delicate that even though I wasn't a virgin, I was still, frankly, like the new girl in the brothel. All the guys want to sleep with her. They want to be the first ones to out here tarnish the innocence of a pretty girl. I was quiet. I had to have sex first. Is what I'm getting at. It had like that was the entry point for these demons. That was the entry point for these demons, and that was the beginning of a downward trajectory. And remember, my cousin and I, almost every every school holiday, we would go to each other's houses. Well, remember I told you that my grandmother passed away, and then after she passed away, they had to move from Nasrina to Tladi. Now that she was staying in Tladi, Soweto. And my cousin had known a girl that she had only ever told me wild stories about. She had known this girl. I guess she used to hang out with older chicks. She had known this chick when she was in grade 9 or 8. And she used to party. They used to go clubbing and everything together. This chick was 2 years older. She was in grade 11 when my cousin was in grade 9. Y'all know that there is a massive difference in a grade 9 child versus a grade 11 child, even though there's only a 2-year gap. Remember I spoke about how earlier, how it is that the younger you are, the more daunting age gaps are. And so essentially a 15-year-old girl is not in any kind of safe space when she's out here hanging out with an experienced 17-year-old. And my cousin started dating the guy with the car when she met this girl that was in grade 10 to grade 11 when my cousin was in grade 8, grade 9. My cousin Anzali Piziko Gandhi Square would meet chicks in high schools across Johannesburg, and this chick used to go to Waverly Girls High. And Waverly had in a reputation I could say the girls' schools I had friends that were from Waverly. Only once I went to varsity, and they were not all about these streets. But when I was in high school, I had a belief about girls from Waverly just being incredible harlots because of my cousin's testimony about chicks from Waverly, and also my own experience with them. But once I met the ones that I got to, like, remember, it made a huge, the women that I met in my own capacity were much better women. It's like I naturally, by the grace of God, grew better girls. That when I met chicks myself from Waverly Girls High, the ones that my cousin was hanging out with, they were about these streets, and they were hectic about these streets. Like hectic. Here is my cousin in grade 8, grade 9, meeting a chick in grade 10, grade 11. Hanging out with her. They went clubbing, they went party. I don't even know how they got into these nightclubs without IDs, because these clubs were all no under 18, no under 21. In South Africa, they don't really check for ID, by the way. They don't. I only see that in American movies, right? I literally only ever see that in American movies. In South Africa, they will put a big fat sign written 21 and over. Or they'll say 25 and over, or they'll say 18 and over, and nobody will check. Like, nobody has ever asked for my ID at a club, like, ever. Again, and the first time I ever went clubbing was when I was 17. Because, it was now time. And at club, there were no under 21s, Mara. They just let me go in there anyway. Okay, very well. Without even checking my ID. So here it is that I'm now broken up with the first guy that ever took my body. And then kiddie school holidays again. I'm single for a season. I'm not dating anyone. I'm not sleeping with anyone. I'm just hurting that my boyfriend and I are not together anymore. And frankly, I wish we could get back together because I still love him. Why did he treat me like that? So if this guy and I had reconciled again, if I had bumped into, if we had somehow just come together again, I would not have carried on I would not have gone down the rabbit hole that I went down. Now, Mamela, listen. My cousin, and remember I said she was dating Jabu? Yeah, she and Jabu broke up. This is why she and Jabu broke up. So here it is that Garabo is now in grade 10. Yes, when I was in grade 10, about to enter into grade 11, dating Spiwe. Or was I dating Spiwe? Or was I still with Kamelo at that stage? No, I was with Spiwe. Here it is that I'm dating Spiwe. I'm living in Naturina. It's 9:30 at night. Ellie McBeal is playing up and down this road. That go like a man caught out in the rain needing to come inside after a storm or whatever. My mom opens, and instead of my uncle hanging out with his sister, he be out here trying to hang out with a teenage girl. I'm like, what's up, uncle? Like, speak your mind. Pray tell, what you doing here? Yo, my uncle is like, or boyfriend, yeah, yo. My uncle came to pick me up, interrupting my viewing of Ellie McBeal. 9:30, I know that was 9:30 because Ellie McBeal used to start playing at 9 at night. 9 until 10. 1 hour of beautiful viewing. Yo. Kalatiwa 9:30 busiku kyan tatewa cousin yaka. I was still wearing school uniform because I never used to change out of my school uniform. I told you guys that. I never used to wear civvies. I mean, after it was too much work as a child, so I'm still in my school uniform. Mara it disheveled and like you see most of think should be like Eddie McBeal. That's unique. Yo, guys get a him. And my uncle comes. I get in my uncle's car. And my uncle is like, Udula guy, first of all. I was like, go Spruit View. And my uncle then drives to Spruit View. Okay, go back seat, Dickie here. I'm quiet in his back seat. There's no one in the front seat. So he's basically chauffeuring me. Tulil in the car the whole time. I'm looking out the window. The car's driving. Kishaba terrain. Yako East Rand. Traveling that side is just so crazy far when you live in other parts of Joburg. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why it was so popular. I miss the youth. Like, they lived in another world, in another province. They might as well have been in another province. We finally get to Spruit View after 10 years. We'll see who. Bangladesh like 9:30. So it's like what now? 10 past 10. 10:30, 10:15. We get to Spruit View. Only once we're inside Spruit View. My uncle was like, boo. Okay. I'm like, what's am I? Okay, Giga right, Timona. Okay, Giga left. Okay, Kimona. My uncle came to pick me up on a Monday night. Yes, because his daughter never came back home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday did not go to school from home. She was basically Malunde somewhere 4 days. Friday after school. What are you wearing in the wilderness? Saturday, Sunday, and Monday she didn't go to school. Monday high school. Well, I mean, of course, the dad was on land. I mean, on some kupumponso boyfriend I do like I call it yo, and like I do like back sitting back chauffeur, and I remember the house, the arch, the fact that the wall was white and it was opposite. The wall was white and it was opposite, more or less adjacent to my cousin's friend's house, or Nako Spruit View, on the same street, opposite. I was able to find the house, thankfully. Even though I'd only been there once, we'd only dropped him off once. Even though I'd only ever dropped him off once. And then my uncle didn't even call my mom in advance. He just drove to Natch to fetch me so we could go. Rolata, my cousin. And then, I mean, once we got there, my uncle was like, okay, yo. I'm like, but dude, this is your job, brother. You go and deal with your situation. But I mean, I guess the guy knew me, right? So and so because the guy my uncle couldn't just go and some go type set up things. So I had to be the one to go and go. I was so awkward. I'm wearing these swabiling school uniform. And I'm standing there all timid. I'm the shy girl, what's saying? Yo. And I'm like, go. My uncle is standing right next to me. Kwavula yena. Kwavula yena, the boyfriend. Kwavula Jabu. Jabu was the one that opened. Thankfully, it wasn't his parents or whatever. He was home on a Monday night. He'd already matriculated, so he wasn't back from school. And I'm like, hi, Jabu. And Jabu's like, Karabo, hi. Yeah. And Jabu's like, Karabo, hi. And he's like confused. Where's Alang, dog? Like you could see he was like scared. Like maybe we're there to tell him some bad news or whatever. I was like, hi, Jabu. Have you seen Khomoto? I'm out there talking with him, at which point then my grandfather, but my uncle just takes over because I'm timid type establishment thing. But yeah, no, Jabu was like visibly shocked. He was visibly scared when he saw me first of all, because what are you doing here? Like, right at this time, come Monday night, and her babe, why you? Why not the girlfriend? What's going on? And then my uncle starts to speak on some okay, refill. Yeah, oh snap. Okay, Khomoto. Have you seen Khomoto? Where's Khomoto? Right? That's what my uncle is actually saying. Okay, and then my uncle explains the whole thing. I get some money Thursday, I get some money Friday, I get some money Saturday, I get not Thursday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then run high school. And this guy is like, Baba, he was very respectful. He was like, Zinami, I haven't seen her. I wasn't with her like this whole time. I wasn't with her. He basically told us that he hasn't seen her since maybe last week Thursday or whatever. The guy, the boyfriend, her boyfriend at that time had not seen her. Pretty much like everybody else. My uncle expected that his daughter would be with the boyfriend. Ramolata goes view boyfriend that day. And then he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you could tell visibly that this guy was obviously innocent because this guy he likely was interrupted in the middle of watching TV. If anything, he might have even been getting ready to go to bed because it was like past 10. And that's how that relationship ended. After that day, my cousin never said anything. I'm pretty sure boyfriend he was like, hey, no karap, afikile live jartini bakfuna mo kuphi. Thursday, King Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Hawaya leskolong, who are you with? And she was probably like, atwara mo atogela mo. And he was like, you know what, it's over. It's over. He probably dumped her. Not probably, he did, because after that, he left her, he ditched her. Because by fetching her. So essentially this guy realized that waiting, I don't know what she did not go home the whole weekend. She was probably gonna lie to me and say that she was at home or she was doing whatever. She just so where was she? Still to this day, I did not even ask her. I didn't. All I know is that I was a little bit irritated by the fact that I was interrupted in between Eliming Bill. But that is what Andevan I was dealing with over there. At that stage, my mother was supposed to be like, okay, Karabo, you're not hanging out with that chick anymore. But she didn't. And lo and behold, a mere few months from that date,